TIFU by innocently giving away worn underwear. This happened in the early 2000s when I was about 17. I come from a very small and rather poor town where it was nothing out of the usual to give away your used clothing to family and neighbors. For children, this also extended to socks and underwear. I remember that I always got my cousin's underpants when she outgrew them until I was at least 12. So when I was older, I went to sell my used clothing on a flea market and took some Brosand, obviously perfectly clean, panties I grew out of to put in a free-to-take box under the table. Due to my age and upbringing, I had absolutely no clue that panty sniffing was a thing. An elder gentleman approached the table and asked me about the panties. I very eagerly told him that yes, I wore them myself and my age and so on. In my innocent mind, I thought he wanted them for his grandchildren and was asking about my age to measure the sizing. He then proceeded to actually sniff them, which I took as a measure of cleanliness. He asked if he could take all of them and went off with the whole box. Even though I found him very weird and didn't like the interaction with him, I was very proud of myself and happy that I did such a good deed. It took years for me to realize that I supplied a pervy older guy with a huge supply of worn adolescent panties. TLDR. I gave a whole box of clean, but worn underwear to a guy without realizing what he'd probably do with it, since I had no idea about panty sniffing. TIFU choosing the wrong guy. Last night my GF, 28, and I, 30 meters, had our first threesome with another guy, 22. We interviewed several candidates before making our final decision. It came down to a man in his mid-30s and a dude in his early 20s. My GF preferred the older guy because he had more experience and he naturally had that alpha male energy she was normally attracted to. I leaned more towards the younger guy, because he seemed less likely to become my competition and leave me feeling insecure about my manhood or some hit. My GF and I did what mature people our age do and played rock, paper, scissors. The winner would get the guy they wanted. I won. We got my guy. The 20-something-year-old General Z. I soon realized he was not the inexperienced young Jedi I expected, even though, as soon as we were all naked, the sperm force was already on the cusp of exploding out of his scrotum. The dude literally had no refractory period. He was somehow able to climax multiple times without losing his erection. I didn't ever know that was possible. We were burning through condoms. Well, he was the one burning through condoms, I was busy negotiating with my flaccid Enos not to call it a night after 1*RGASM. I was no match for Gen Z Johnny Sins. My pipe game did nothing but slow down the momentum. Johnny had an ungodly amount of stamina and apparently an unlimited supply of *MN. He eventually tapped out. Becca Hughes, my GF, was forced to tap out due to overstimulation and soreness. My GF and I had to attend a funeral this morning. We cremated her Agina and buried my self-confidence. Thanks, Johnny. TL. DR. My GF and I had a threesome with another guy. I was in a position to choose the other guy. I decided to go with the dude who I thought would bellows competition in the bedroom. I made the wrong choice and now I've lost my confidence. TIFU by sleeping next to my boyfriend. TIFU by sleeping next to my boyfriend. Not a native English speaker, also on phone. Formatting and wording issues may be present. This happened a few months ago. I had just traveled to see my boyfriend for the first time in another country. The travel was rough, but he met me halfway, so it became easier to handle when closer to the finish line. We had never physically met before, and had discussed that we would take it slow, see how we feel when together, maybe sleep in separate beds if that makes us more comfortable. Well, all those plans flew out the window in the first 10 minutes. We got along insanely great and everything just clicked into place as if it had always been like that. We reached his apartment in the late evening, both very tired after laughing and messing around all day, yet somehow our clothes ended up on the floor and things quickly lead to another. Exhausted from traveling and now with a ton more of happy chemicals in our brains, we fell asleep quickly and comfortably, safely tucked in a cuddle. We're both light sleepers, me more than him. I woke up to his phone ringing, feeling dazed and confused, as one does after just waking up unexpectedly. I got a quick glance at my surroundings, trying to locate the root of the annoyance that woke me from my slumber. Still trying to figure out what year it is and where I am, I see my boyfriend open his eyes, waking up to the commotion as well. While most would romantically maybe blush a little and say good mornings awkwardly. Well, not us. All hell broke loose. His eyelids ripped themselves wide open and he began screaming. So loudly, picture night terror, but only after you've already woken up. The loudest screams of fear filled the whole apartment. He would only stop to gasp Moriere, just to continue the blood-chilling noise again. You see, in his sleepy haze his brain had told him I'm an intruder who's there to attack him. And his not-so-effective or controlled smacking and pushing were his panicked attempts at defending himself. And what did I do to defuse this situation? I screamed back. I kept screaming back and felt like I was in danger now as well. There we are, two idiots just screaming at the same time at each other for no reason whatsoever. He got me pretty good on my jaw, which was enough to rattle me fully awake. Hey! 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 It's me! It's me! I began to chant. He slowly calmed down, and came back to our reality as well. He wouldn't stop apologizing at first, said sorry over and over, looking clearly ashamed of himself. I just found out he didn't even realize he was flailing his arms and legs the way he did. The evening we were already laughing about it, and joking about how the next morning will turn out Toby-like. Note: there was a lot less screaming. We woke up silently every morning after, with my jaw remaining free from pain. TLDR: boyfriend thought I was an intruder when Hugh woke up, screamed and flailed to defend himself, and my solution was to scream back. TIFU by breaking up with my boyfriend after finding out he was trans. A little context: I-16F was in a relationship with this guy 17 meters, let's call Adam, for almost 3 months. Before he told me he was trans. Which was a huge shock. I have nothing against trans people. But I'm just not attracted to dudes with a vag. So when he originally told me, I broke it off. He's a great guy but, I am just not into USEYK. He didn't take this well at all though. I mean I get it, he has a right to be upset. And went on to go around talking hit about me, calling me a transphobe. Which he didn't have a right to do. I literally never once hit on him for being trans. I literally just broke things off, because he wasn't being truthful. He knew by telling me he was trans I wouldn't like him like that. So he didn't tell me. That's the definition of lying, and I straight up told him that. After that him and these little minions started harassing me on TikTok, to the point I had to private my account. It literally got so bad to the point where I was getting death threats because of me breaking up with him. I've even had people stop talking to me. I really don't get how I'm wrong here, so I came to Reddit to see if I really upped up. TLDR: I broke up with my boyfriend after figuring out he was trans, because I'm not into USI. Now I have a bunch of people on TikTok harassing me and sending me death threats. TIFU by realizing my GF isn't my GF. I 25M have been with my girlfriend 26F for a year and a half. When we initially got to know each other online and began flirting and having calls here and there, it developed to sending spicy pictures and videos, which led to our first proper date. We made out and immediately got freaky that night, and she stayed over at my house that weekend, and at least I thought we started dating then. We grew to tell each other that we love each other after a couple of months and were doing all the couple-related things, dates, trips, meeting each other's families, and she even moved in with me 6 months ago. We celebrated our 1-year anniversary, but apparently she just thought we were celebrating the time we had a real date. Today she took me out for a date and was just thanking me for being there for her, especially in the last 6 months, and she basically said she wishes we will date sometime in the near future. This took me by surprise, but basically made me realize I never actually officially asked her out and all we had done and been through. She actually thought I was hooking up with one of my coworkers who's my close friend, but she hadn't said anything about it because she was scared of overstepping her boundaries. She then actually told me that the relationship she thought I had with my coworker was one of the few reasons she hadn't just asked me out herself, because she wants us to be monogamous, as she's only been with me since we met. It ended up being cute, and all booty did feel like an idiot when I realized I wasn't actually dating my girlfriend. Edit: when she realized I thought we were already together, she looked very relieved. We laughed it off and I was jokingly giving her a hard time about it, and she opened up about how she hadn't been happy that I had, at least in her head, been seeing other girls, but she felt crazy for being jealous when she wasn't with me. We went to a little dessert place where I then properly asked her out. And she said yes and was ugly crying, which became a little awkward because people were looking and giving me nasty looks at the start. But we're good and happy right now. Edit 2. I realize that it sounds crazy that she might think we were still FWB whilst staying together and saying we love each other. So I'll give you her reasoning after talking more with her. Firstly, I have stayed with a FWB before for about 2 months. She moved in just after the pandemic hit. She had just lost her job and just needed somewhere to crash as she figured things out. And as someone I did view as my friend, I offered her to stay with me for a bit, which she did. My girlfriend was aware of this from when we were just online friends. And when she moved in with me, Initially it also had to do with her being in between jobs. Secondly, for like a year before me, some guy was pursuing her and telling her he loves her, and as she was starting to fall for him she got to realize this guy had a wife and kids, even Thaw would tell her how much he loves her. So, things with me to her at least were just refreshing and drama-free, and she felt dumb for catching feelings, thinking we were just FWB, and she started thinking I was seeing someone else like a month ago, which is why she was dropping hints of wanting exclusivity. And when we met each other's parenting in both cases, we just went for dinner with them and got to know each other. There was no explicit "this is my BF talk then. I hope this clears up some of the confusion regarding her. TLDR, I didn't officially ask out my girlfriend of a year and a half, so she had to bring up wanting to become my girlfriend even though I thought we had been together for over a year.